So if you can only pick one game, what upcoming game are you most excited for?
Honestly, I'm really excited for the Smash Fighters Pass.
I'm most excited for Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I played a lot of the Metroid Prime games on the GameCube, so probably Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I still need to play the trilogy at some point here. Which, speaking of backlogs, how's yours looking?
Not too good.
It's really not that bad. I've just got like Persona 5 to finish, and then The Witcher 3 and The Witcher 2.
It gives me more anxiety than a social outing.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's a beast.
Whoa!
The backlog is a dangerous beast, one that haunts gamers far and wide. You see all those new games up on the horizon, but what about that pile of games that you have waiting for you back at home? You know, those digital titles that you had to get because they were less than a burrito at Taco Bell. What about that game your buddy Zach loaned you for the 3DS years ago that he's been dying for you to play? Oh, you can't find your charger or something? Oh, Tom Nook called and he's demanding your rent? I doubt it. But regardless of all of this, fear not. While the backlog may be a relentless, undying entity, we feel it can be tamed. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life, and today we're here to share with you a few strategies that we think may help you learn to tame your backlog, regardless of how overwhelming it may be.
Now, the first step you should take to get your backlog in order should be to assess your backlog. Take a look at your games and figure out what you actually care to play in the near future, and which ones you have just taking up space in your collection. Not everything has to be considered backlog-worthy material. Once you have that figured out, go ahead and make yourself a list. You can make a note on your phone, use pen and paper, or even use a website to help keep track of your games. I personally really like to use the website howlongtobeat.com, as it allows you to log specifics on when you beat a game, how much time you've spent on a game, and how much of the game you've actually played. Then you can take all that information and compare it to others online to see how long it took them. They even have a specific backlog tab, playing tab, and completed tab that you can sort your games into as well. A list like this can also come in handy when and if you ever decide to look back at your year and decide on which games were your favorite. And if most of the games on your backlog are physical, try making an actual stack of the games somewhere near your play area to help illustrate the challenge you have in front of you. Then as you complete them, you can put them on their own separate shelf and think of them as your own physical achievement system. And if you're playing digital games on anything other than a Switch, try making a folder for the games you want to play and a folder for the ones you've beaten. It can feel nice to look at the games you've finished and might help push you to actually finish more. It can be hard to squeeze in time to play games when work, school, and other things are sort of ruling your life, but try to think of your game time as a scheduled event, like if you were in a sports league or had choir practice. For many of us, gaming is a hobby, and we should all have time for our hobbies. Figure out a time that works best for you each week and set up a plan. Maybe you'll play each Tuesday and Thursday after your kids go to bed, or when you finish with work on the weekends. If your schedule is inconsistent, try to frame game time around a certain activity, or maybe even just sneak in some time before bed. And when life gets in the way of your schedule, don't let it deter you. Try to find more time to play later in the week to make up for the time you missed out on. Much like any goal, just try to make a plan that works for you and stick to it, and you'll be wrapping up games faster than you thought you ever could. In this digital, modern era that we're currently in, distractions are at an all-time high. Whether you're at work or watching Netflix or even spending time with friends or family, your phone will always be there trying to bother you. And it most likely has some of your attention when you're playing games too. So if you can, try to keep it out of arm's reach. Maybe plug it in and leave it on the shelf far away from you. Give the characters in your game your undivided attention. Then, when you're done with a game, you're likely to remember a lot more of its finer details, since you were entirely present for its events. And if you happen to be using your phone for an online walkthrough, try setting it to Do Not Disturb mode. And if you still catch yourself accidentally browsing Twitter and the like, try using a different device like a tablet or laptop, one that doesn't have a million tabs open and all your contacts saved. And if that doesn't do the trick, see if you can get your hands on an old-fashioned strategy guide. It'll definitely help you stay disconnected, and it's a lot more fun flipping through an actual book than an online guide anyways. This next one might sound a little blunt, but it's for the best. Stop unnecessarily buying games. The deals aren't helping you. Unless you're collecting games, try not to add more games to your backlog than you can handle. You can always make a list of games you want to purchase as you start to knock a few off your list. Oh, and try to ignore the sales too. We know it's especially hard when it feels like every publisher under the sun is tossing their games on sale for the weekend. Unless there is a game you've been extremely excited about and it goes on sale for the low price of, I can't absolutely ignore this deal or I'll be ashamed of myself for paying a higher price later, you can probably go without it. Just like juggling multiple TV shows or books, trying to play multiple video games at a time isn't always a good idea. It can be easy to forget character names and lose track of the narrative and your current progress if you spend too much time away from one game. And you'll be more focused and dedicated if you stick to just one. But don't be afraid to give yourself some options. If your current main game is a 50 to 100 hour RPG, try keeping a few shorter games from other genres in your back pocket. The last thing you want to do is burn yourself out on a game you're really enjoying, only to set it down and never pick it back up again. Once you've started a game and made it at least a few hours in, if you've realized it just isn't clicking with you, don't force yourself to finish it. Not every game is going to be your cup of tea, and frankly, that's quite alright. You can always come back to it if you ever feel like giving it another shot. And if you're worried about getting back the return you invested into the game, maybe you can try selling it or trading it with a friend for something else you're interested in.
Yes! Oh, this is my favorite!
A major reason that every gamer on the planet has a backlog is, in part, due to the fact that games will never stop being released, but we're also partially influenced by the games other people are playing, and the games our friends are talking about. So with that, there's a good chance that your friends have some of the same games on their backlog as you do. So why not try and hit up a friend and see if you can agree on a game to play together in your own separate times. And internet friends count too. Then you can chat about your experiences, your struggles, and share the crazy moments throughout the weeks that you play. And you don't necessarily have to schedule a time or place to meet somewhere, but it could help make your game a bit more fun and might encourage you to play more efficiently, knowing that you have someone else essentially playing with you. Then if this all goes well, maybe you can invite more friends into your group for the next game and can start your own private video game club. And by nature, live service games like Fortnite and Warframe are designed to reward you for logging in and playing more frequently. These games are something I like to call time vampires. They basically do everything they can to keep you hooked. So even if you really, really love a few of them, cutting yourself back to one live service game could free up a ton of more time for other games that are on your backlog.
Now, there really is no way to stop the backlog, but we do feel that these few tips will at least get you one step closer to making it more manageable. That way, you won't have that weight on your shoulders when you go to pick up a new game. Feel free to let us know any tips that helped you catch up on your list of games in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, then why don't you go ahead and dress up your backlog in a morph suit and get it to follow you around when you buy games. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life, and we'll see you next time.
Oh God! Not too good. Is that bad? Not too good.
Yeah? What's that?
I'd like to purchase this, pre-order it.
Of course, we can definitely purchase and or pre-order this.
I can like hear him running.
I know. Quick.
God, my backlog is so annoying.
Top 10 things Zion from Nintendo Life doesn't want you to know about Nintendo Life.
We use lights.
What is that? Oh God!